We all go a little mad sometimes.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
They're here.
Hallo, mein Name ist Patricia Hingel.
And I'm Susie Banyan.
Alles klar?
Mennonite. And you're listening to They're Here.
Podcast.
A discussion
A dissection.
of all things horror.
Fear.
And
Das Macabre. Und I did. And speaking of being hollowed out.
And your cunt eating on a plate.
Sie werden mich aushöhlen und meine Fotze essen.
That's you. That's your voice. Yeah.
So
That's how you sound like when you finally move to Germany. That's exactly
Yeah, it's like 1 week living in Germany. 2 weeks living in Germany. That's the 4th week.
So today,
Sorry.
today we have a very special guest. The unholy trinity has reunited. We have a special guest, not in studio, via Skype, WhatsApp, or Messenger, or whatever the fuck we're looking at. My twin, Ryan. Hello.
Ryan.
Hey, chick, how are you?
Ryan.
How are you? Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Solution.
Okay, so just for context here, he's a Berliner who lives in Berlin with being a Berliner on Berlin soil with being an expat. He's Irish in Berlin. We
From
get
League
it.
Slip.
From League Slip, you're Berliner. Got it.
Berliner by way of the far end.
Being the bread and spread of Berlin. Today's bread, whiter.
It's not drugs, they're King Crisps.
So today we are retrospecting a reimagining, but not with Goblin though.
No, not with Goblin.
So we are talking about Suspiria. We're doing, what is it called? What did Luca Guadagnino call it? An homage to a feeling.
It's like I was reading an interview with him and Tilda Swinton last night, and they were saying that it's kind of just like a cover of Suspiria.
A cover of Suspiria.
Yeah, like it's not. I wouldn't call this a remake, kind of at all, because it's a
I
bigger.
read it was a reimagining.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's an expansion of the original story versus it being just like a shot-for-shot remake, because they kind of don't hit on any scenes from the original. I think kind of besides the finale, which in the original is all kind of implied, and we only get like flashes of what's going on.
And we get Cher.
And we get Cher and Goblin.
And Goblin. So, Ryan, how did you feel about this movie?
I
Being a Berliner.
friggin' loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, being a Berliner,
Do you live in Berlin?
I live in a very international city with international people.
That's putting it mildly.
Doing international things like listening to techno, going to sex parties, and doing a lot of drugs.
Oh, perfect.
Très international.
Well-rounded. I friggin' loved the movie. I thought it was really good. I was very upset to hear that the building that they did the school in wasn't in Berlin. It's actually in Italy.
Yes, it's an
because,
abandoned hotel.
Because like the majority of the rest of the movie is shot in Berlin. And like it's really cool when you get to go around and see like the places where they did these things and be like, oh, this is where they did that. But that building is fucking beautiful.
It really, really is. It has like
so nice.
big kind of overlook hotel, sort of Kubrick-ish, just because everything is kind of so big and open and like wide, and it's not like it's weird. It doesn't look like a creepy place, but it's like the way they have it like lit and all that kind of stuff. It actually looks really, really like nice.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's one point where like we see all the dorms and stuff. I'm like, those are lit. I would totally fucking live there. You know.
No, yeah, actually, that's really funny because like the original is shot in Germany, the academy where they stay, but it's in the south of Germany. And actually, it's really funny. A lot of people when they do like reviews of the movie, they say like, "Oh, it's shot in Berlin." The whole thing, even the original story, was imagined in the south of Germany, like in Munich.
Yeah.
And then the red building and everything, that's all in the south of Germany. But this whole thing is like in Berlin. It's still kind of got that like grand feeling that the south of Germany has, this like Rococo kind of architecture.
Yeah, everything
it's
is
got that
kind of
feeling
opulent.
of grandness, but it's changed to Berlin. It's not really Rococo. It's a bit more Art Nouveau. Everything is very...
It's kind of brutalist a little bit.
Yeah, it's brutalist, like, but it's still beautiful. It's all really like brutalist architecture. There's a lot
I
more
think
like
you mean Art
earth
Deco,
tone.
no? Because Art Nouveau is
art.
smooth.
Well, it's not quite
and
Art
pretty.
Deco though. It's not like
No, it's
not
post
like,
Art Deco. It's Stalinistic in approach.
Yeah, you know, it's not like
very,
decorative enough to be
very
Art Deco.
Berlin.
Yeah. And only Berliners would get that.
But like, no, the settings in this movie, like, I know this is a horror movie and stuff, but
Yeah.
also people had kind of said, or at least Luca Guadagnino had said himself, is that like he isn't a horror movie director, so he was kind of approaching this differently. Like the goal wasn't to have like a spooky haunted like castle kind of like feel, you know. But like, fuck me, this movie appeals to like all my like wanting to be in the rain fantasies, you know what I mean? Like, fuck, that is good rain. That is heavy rain.
That's actually, there's a really cool kind of callback to the original film based off of just that one scene, you know, where Susie Bannion gets out of the airport and she's trying to flag down a taxi.
Yeah.
It's mentioned in the 2018 film that when Sarah shows up looking for Susie at her hotel, she goes, when it starts to really rain heavily, everyone jumps into a cab, and like an idiot, I just let ours go. And I was like, that's such a cool callback to like Susie like literally flagging down about 20 taxis before she finally gets one.
I love that scene now, like because the RAF or whatever like that, the bomb goes off outside and they run out. But the window is this like, it's like a big glass door that they just open up like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck me. Like, that just makes me all like cozy and shit like that. Like a big old window, heavy rain, revolution in the air, Nina Hagen on the track.
Nina Hagen on the track.
They do though. That's one thing that actually like made me like
Post-fascism.
jump up in the cinema was...
Brink of the wall coming down. Oh, that's me.
I love that for this because they didn't film it in Berlin. It's like, we're bringing the Berlin Wall to Italy. Let's go.
Well, speaking of setting, this film is it's a kind of a jump forward in time, whereas 1977 in the original film, it's not mentioned what year, but it's very clear what year the 2018 reimagining is set in. It's set in 1977, which is called they call it the German Autumn. And essentially what this was a very kind of tumultuous time. Like, this is going on like nearly 40 years after the end of World War II, where I have it written down here that basically the co-writers of this wanted to address the generation of students and the young people who were sick like in their souls about how much denial there was in their parents' and grandparents' generations about the German culpability of World War II. And in 1977, like West Germany was like fully far left military factions. There was group assassinations of SS, previous like Gestapo people.
That's Bader-Meinhof.
Yeah, that's Bader-Meinhof.
Former SS officer.
He was a former SS officer, and that's what is repeatedly going on throughout this film. It's kind of a B plot to the film.
Well, yeah,
but it's kind of never resolved.
Yeah, we get enough of it. I mean, like the resolution is the fall of the wall and everybody being captured and shit. Which actually just kind of jump forward to what would have been the end of this movie. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to get Susie. I also love that
she's touching the
very much
Berlin Wall, I think.
Yes, that was my entire point. Thank you.
Sorry.
But there's supposed to be like a very clear distinction between Susanna and Susie. Susie being Suspiriorum, you know. Where, like the whole the way she's like filmed and the way she like moves and stuff. I think there's like huge implications for her throughout this story. Like I think we'll get up there at the end, but yeah, the idea that witches are directly involved in the fall of the Berlin Wall, and in not kind of a campy, stupid way.
No, but like
obsessed.
It's kind of like the Bene Gesserit from Dune. Like they're sort of working from the shadows and influencing politics and all of this type of thing. Yeah. To kind of bring down the Berlin Wall and set up an undivided Berlin. Yeah.
There's a lot of real world stuff that I love how they tied into this movie. Like I think because I feel like in the original movie it might have been tongue in cheek, but also it was like currently ongoing. So it's kind of weird to make a commentary about like kind of violent stuff that's currently ongoing. Like we don't get any of the like punk scene or anything like that in the original movie, and then in this the first group of people that Susie sees when she leaves the train station is we get punks kind of being harassed by police and stuff. And I'm like, see, this is like what I think of when I think of like Berlin 77. You know?
Ryan, can you speak to that? I mean, you're older than I am, so you would know, of course, more than what that is.
You'd never guess.
Well, only by, a couple of years, but...
centuries, not years.
I was... Like, when I watched the movie, and from what I've heard, like, this whole thing of, like, two sides is literally, and this is going to sound really, like, meta or something, it's woven into the literal fabric of this movie, because, like, you think about it from two sides, like, this is, like, this movie is the polar opposite to the 1977 movie.
Yeah, for sure.
That one was not so much about the story as it was
no
about
story.
like the visual experience.
It was purely visual. Like it was kind of like an hour and a half long music video for Goblin. Yeah. Which I like. Yeah. Which like again, like that to me like just isn't a bad thing. Like I love that original movie.
That's why it's not fair to like compare the two, because in a way they're both works of art in their own sense. Like that one is purely visual. Like there is a story, but it's kind of more like fairy tale A to B.
Yeah, very much
and then this one is more about the story. Yeah. Like, there's definitely a lot of visual in it, but this one has a fully fleshed out story, and so much so that it even has, like, a bajillion mini stories going on in it. Yeah. Like, and in that sense, like, that's just, like, great. You can see, like, A and B. It's, like... From the very start, like before you even go and watch the movie, you're like, this was the original, this is the new version, and they're two totally different things. Yeah, for sure. The same thing with like having all the stories in it. Like there's the story of the coven, but within that coven, there's like a faction. Yeah, like a divide.
Exactly, yeah, like there's a current ongoing kind of debate, like clique war on the inside, and then
on the inside of that coven.
Exactly, and then even on top of that, there's like outliers even within that. There's people who don't even adhere to that, the fucking jab in the neck or whatever like that. I find her really interesting, and I want to know more about her. Like what's her
deal?
What's her deal? Yeah, because she did vote for one of them.
Yeah, she said Marcos.
She said Marcos, but I think I don't know, she was very conflicted about that. Like they had to pull it out of her. Like,
because she's holding that knife in her neck. Like they're physically trying to pull the knife away from her. Yeah, and she's got it dug in her neck. We'll talk about it.
She's the very last one to vote. Yeah, she's like, look, it's the end.
I abscond
I don't fucking care. You see, I get the sense that she might have at one point been a Susanna or a Zara or something like that. Like she might be one of the, I don't know, newer initiates in some way, shape, or form. Because everybody else is just kind of like, oh yeah, that's just the way it is. You know? Like, nobody else kind of questions it or is weird about what's going on.
Yeah. The other kind of B-plot that randomly keeps kind of coming up is the militant group, the RAF, which is known as the Red Army faction. And they were a group of Berliners who were...
That's you!
They were they were against essentially like the politicism of allowing SS officers and all of that to kind of go free, because that's what I was talking about earlier, is the younger generation of students who are like, what the fuck, why is there an SS officer who is, I think he's an industry professional or something like that, and it was just kind of let go.
As like he was head
I think I have it written here. Yeah, he's an industrial president.
Association.
Yeah.
He was head of that, and they were just like, no, like
cancelled.
Yeah.
Everybody, Nazis are cancelled.
And then the other thing was the Liberation Front. So this is the other thing that they were talking about, what was going on like on the radios or in the TVs, was the
Patricia.
Hijacking. Yes, Patricia was involved in this. She was part of the bombs, and then she was involved with the Liberation Front, who hijacked a plane to rescue RAF prisoners who were being transferred back to Berlin for I think it was like a trial or something like that. But essentially on the plane during, this is why like it went on for like weeks on end, was because people were being killed day by day on that plane, and then the actual prisoners themselves ended up being shot anyway. So it was this huge controversy between what was considered right at the time and what was considered wrong at the time.
Yeah.
Because again, like, you still have that thing where like, because at the time it was like you had an SS officer who was an industrial president, and then you had Liberation Front hijackers who were killing people on a plane and all of this type of thing. So it was very interesting, and Patricia was involved in it. She was involved. It's like it said right from the very beginning that she was involved in all of this going on, and she was in basements filling bottles with petrol and
exactly.
all of
it's
this.
Also the main reason why they kind of don't like, oh shit, where is she? Because they all just assume that she's gone off to do all this kind of stuff. But I love how like half cunty Tilda is about all this, where she's like, no, it's great, who can't admire that, and like, who won't be sad if she gets shot to death by police? You know,
she's a hero.
I literally like I love Tilda Swinton in this movie. Like,
yeah.
It's like one of my favorite iterations of like a witch. Like, this to me is like, I think I said to you like right after we left the cinema, and it's like, see, like, this is how you fucking do witches.
Yeah, I think it said something about like how American Horror Story just kind of like fucked up a modern interpretation of witches, whereas you get like this, and like, this is how I would see witchcraft, as this kind of like backstabbing, sending out like evil energy, that type of thing, you know what I mean?
See, I always said is that like, witches aren't scary because of like what they look like or their appearance. It's like, it's because of their abilities and what they can do.
Yeah.
So like, I don't need Tilda Swinton with like a hooked nose and like a broom and
green
warts and all that kind of
skin,
stuff. Because we end up getting Helena Marcos at the end for that, where she's kind of,
she's the epitome,
grotesque, but also she still isn't like, you know, fucking Margaret Hamilton, like Wizard of Oz shit, you know, because she's got all the kind of like semi-absorbed like bodies on her.
Yeah.
She's got like little pieces of hands and kind of
just like tumors, legions and shit. Yeah.
Non-human kind of growths and things like that, you know.
That was actually the really other interesting part of me, was the interpretation of dance in the film, as dance is used as witchcraft, and they were inspired by Pina Bausch, who is just, if you don't know her, look her up, because her interpretation of dance and throwing emotions is just unbelievable. The other night, I think I watched about 10 or 15 different videos of Pina Bausch's like interpretive dance and all of that, and like, it's fully her. You know what I mean? Like, you can see like all the kind of the chest smacking and the exhaling and you know, kind of squatting and punching kind of movements that they have is very much inspired by Pina Bausch, and it is so good. It is so good.
Now, the dance in this movie, I always find it very easy to kind of skew kind of corny with dance scenes, and especially, and kind of unrelated, like spells and stuff. I always find those two kind of things corny, but like the way they do it in this, it's like the dancing really, really is like violent.
Yeah.
You know?
They have like it's another thing that like differentiates the old from the original. The dance academy in the original was like a cover for the coven.
Yeah.
Whereas like now in this movie, the dancing is part of the spell.
Yeah.
Because like if you watch the two, like this one obviously it's like a ritualistic dance. They're doing it. They're performing the motions in kind of like a high magic thing, and they even like draw out like symbols from high magic on the floor when they're trying to do folk.
Yeah.
And then the original, when you get the scenes of like the dancers, it's all kind of
ballet.
Like, ballet. It's very prancy, pretty. Like they are dancers, and it is like a merit in itself, but it's just like it's very surface level. It's not a main thing.
Yeah.
There's the dancing in this and I think it speaks towards this kind of like empowerment thing, because like
yes,
there's like a theme in the original. The school is mixed sex, so it's men and women. In this one, it's all female, and it's one thing that I love about this movie as well. It was written by men, but it's a very female empowerment movie.
Yes,
and it doesn't feel like a good for her, you go girl, like at all, because there's a couple of lines.
It shows you again the two sides thing. It's like, well, like women are strong and powerful, but they can also be evil.
Yes,
but they are two-sided. Like women are rounded. Like they have ups and downs, and even within their own factions, like
there can be breakaways. There's opinions.
There's a black, there's a white to everything, you know? There's two sides.
Well, I saw this thing, right? There's just like two things I want to hit on. It's like there's a couple of lines that they kind of sprinkle in where when Susie first gets there and she's like, how much do you charge? And she's like, we don't charge a cent at all. We like know the
fully
importance
understand.
Sorry. Lady, let me finish the fucking sentence. Jesus. We fully understand the like autonomy or the
importance.
You know what? You can go. You actually can go. But it's like we basically understand that like women need to be independent and stuff like that. And then there's when the professor is kind of brought in at the end or whatever like that. I love the thing of like, you had all these fucking years to get your wife out of Berlin. When a woman tells you the truth, believe her. Don't fucking sit on it for months. You know. But also I was reading a couple of things last night that like at the end, Mother Suspiria, she's not evil or good. It's both, because nature is both. You know, like she's not unfair.
Call back to another witch movie.
I know, right? It is both. Which is evil? Is both.
You just dropped that in.
Oh, Craft. Oh, of course, yeah.
Loving and kind.
So, but the other thing I wanted to kind of say about the dance kind of aspect. Muttermarkos' Tanzgruppe. They have
that was really good.
Yeah, thank you. Tilda Swinton's character, Madame Blanc, Viva Blanc, says that prior
wig.
I
want all the wigs. This is wig
snatching wigs.
Like he's cheating.
She says that prior to the war, there was a certain type of way that everyone danced, and then afterwards they needed to change how they expressed themselves. It's no longer happy and cheerful. Exactly. And she said they felt like they needed to break the prettiness of things. I literally have that as a quote there, because that to me just says everything, because it's such a visceral reaction everyone would have after literally going from the Great War to World War One and having a sequel. So it's pretty much that feeling where the happiness is gone, and you need to.
Refer to the Second War as a sequel.
It's a sequel, yeah. It's very that, and it does kind of explain as to why there's such a huge difference between the romanticism prior to World War One and then the expressionism of their dance work afterwards, because she said something like blank kept them going through the war.
Yeah, they went underground after the war, and they kind of took... See, my kind of gathering of this is that, like, the school got bigger and kind of more numerous during the war because women were like, what the fuck, bro? And she was like, yo, come over here. Like, this is kind of like refuge, shelter, and stuff like that. Because a lot of the women kind of... I don't know exactly kind of what, like... the aging process is and kind of how magic factors into stuff, because we know Madame Blanc and Helena Marcos are
centuries old.
Quite old. Yeah, like in the sequel we were actually supposed to get like
a 10th
century kind of flashbacks to both original witches. But with this, most of these women kind of, you think 40 years ago or so, would have been like directly like in the war.
Oh, in the war. Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So it's like a lot of them kind of would have went there for refuge. But yeah, the idea that like prior to the war though, that like Helena Marcos is doing like no Nanette or something like that, like she's doing something really like cheerful, you know,
like the flapper of the 20s.
Yeah, exactly. She's doing Funny Girl on Broadway.
Oh my god, stop.
I'd say that is like what it did happen though. Like when I think of it like before the war, it probably was like the academy that they had in the original.
Yeah, exactly. Like real like astringent
very much ballet.
Yeah.
But like because like during the war there would have been like a ban on anything that wasn't seen to like enhance Germany.
Yeah.
Or like the Aryan way.
Okay,
And
girls,
then
goose
after-
steps again. Yes. Knees up, you know.
And then after, like, because of the influence of Russia on most of Germany, there was, like, a kind of ban on things that were frivolous because, like, you have to rebuild a country after a war.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, we want, like, dancing and kind of music is seen as something frivolous and just, like, a drain on society when that's not what you need right now. And they're like, well, this is, like, how we generate our livelihood. This is how we generate our magic.
Well, see,
So
I was
we have to
thinking
keep this
this
going.
last night watching it, where I was like, how do they get money and stuff? You know, because it's like they're not magic in the sense that they can just like conjure up a
money,
fucking
yeah.
pile of cash. But in my mind, I'm like, how often do they just put on recitals and stuff like that they can keep this school like running and generating
Well, like,
shit?
they say in the movie that she's been to, like, Madame Blanc has been to
Oh, like
York,
London,
was it- yeah, was
York.
it New York?
Yeah.
With this
so
same
she's traveled,
dance.
like, they do have money
With
with the
this
same
same
dance.
fucking
But that means that it's so well known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like incredibly well known because she toured the world so much that Susie, while she was still with the Mennonites,
Yeah.
Went to see it 3 times.
She snuck out. I love that. Like, but then see again, there's so much implication in this movie where I'm like, just go a little, and like this isn't a complaint, but I'm like, it's actually like a big compliment where it's like, just go a little bit further. I just want to see more. You know, it's not like this movie is lacking. It's this movie just like leaves just enough breadcrumbs that
If
I'm
it
like,
just
fuck,
got
I
a
want to
little,
see more.
just a little bit more steroid in there, you're fine.
Yeah, seriously though, you know, like there is a lot that I want to see, and I suppose
I would
like,
have loved to have seen it expanded in a sequel, prequel kind of thing.
seriously,
Yeah.
and I think like just like kind of stepping outside of the actual movie itself, the movie was released directly onto Amazon, or it was kind of distributed by Amazon, a la kind of A24. Don't you kind of wish A24 had jumped on this?
I do.
Because it would have gotten a
It
bigger
has
movie.
such A24 vibes to it. It really, does.
And this is kind of, I think, I don't know, it's kind of after all The Witch and all that kind of stuff. It's 2018. It is a little bit more recent than I was thinking. But like this movie was kind of unnecessarily like hidden away
Yeah.
for some reason. Like we found one showing of this Halloween night, midnight,
Near midnight, yeah.
like preview or whatever like that. But you can't find it anywhere. I think it's like, I don't think
You
it was
can't even
released
buy it
until,
on
like,
DVD.
That's what I was going to
You
say. I don't
literally
think it was
cannot buy
released
it.
physically.
Yeah.
Which to me almost
it is
adds
really
to the
shit that it's on
reputation.
a streaming service. It's really shit that it's on a streaming
Yeah.
service. And
It's-
like you have to pay a subscription to watch it.
we
And like it's really shit here as well because like I'm using Amazon Prime for my boyfriend. And if I didn't have that I wouldn't be able to watch it because of the streaming laws in Germany.
yeah.
Like it's super illegal and they block all the sites.
Oh, we actually we
If
had
anybody in Germany is listening, please don't rat me out.
we had a little bit of a running joke that Amazon kind of soft pillow push over the face of this film and dug its knee into the mouth a little bit.
Insane. It's genuinely insane. This is
Yeah.
one of the only quote-unquote remakes I can think of where people are like kind of flat out, I prefer this to the original. No
Yes.
joke, as it, like, I love the original Suspiria because I love Argento and I love camp and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But this is just a better made and better written film. It just is.
Well, I gotta say, this is actually something that I really did want to talk about, which is, I mean, it's sort of rude to do a comparison prior to having not talked about the original in a previous episode, but I do think it is important to note some of the differences between each of the films, i.e., this film is nearly an hour and 10 minutes longer than the original cut of Suspiria. The colors are extremely muted. The cinematographer did not want to use the 3 primary colors at all in this film.
Yeah.
Specifically just because, i.e., it was the 70s, it was not so much a depressive time, but the color tones that were used were a depressive blend of like earth tones and greys and greens and
it's
browns.
in the fashion of the century.
Yeah, it was it was muted colors, and that's what
Fashion of this movie, bro.
yeah.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
There's like Sarah in particular. I'm
Zara.
like, fuck, bro. I want the coat. They have her dressed so well. Like,
But she's
They
meant
use
to
a
be
lot of
like an
models in
erudite.
this movie.
exactly. She's
She's meant
like,
to be rich.
Yeah, she's got the. Does she give you guys kind of Izzy vibes sometimes in
No.
this? I do. You don't want to say that because you think Sarah is a cool character and you don't want to give somebody credit. When she first shows up, I like very much so get Izzy vibes off her. But it's just like the way the hair is like curled under and then out at the front, and all the kind of. She's dressed, I think, like the warmest color palette wise.
Yes.
Out of anybody besides Madame
She
Black
wears like
herself.
a silk pink
Yes.
gown at one
and like
time.
lots of kind of like teddy bear browns and stuff like that. But
It's
fuck
very
me.
muted color palette. That's what it is.
It is, and I think in a movie like this, though, it's like that kind of allows you to use color very, very intentionally and
Yes.
not have, because like in the original Suspiria, that's very much so in
The intention.
in kind of giallo style, and then also in particular Dario Argento style.
Yes.
is to have like blood that is like borderline
Red.
orange.
Yes.
you know,
I
and
still will
the blues
never
are
get
so
that
blues.
somebody made this comparison to the original, and it was like, it's Cinderella on acid. I was like,
Yes.
yes, it is.
Exactly. That's
I
how we
would describe
did-
it
yeah.
as a beautiful nightmare.
When we brought Lindsay and Gemma to go see this,
Oh,
to go see
God.
the original Suspiria in the lighthouse,
We were like, you'll love it.
front row, looking up, like packed house. But it was like, that was my way to describe it. I was like, it's like Walt Disney
On acid.
produced a horror movie on acid,
Yeah.
but also on mescaline.
Yeah.
You know? Like it was a lot because it's just so ultra colorful and like
It's
The
such an
masculine
assault
is
on
the
the
soundtrack.
senses.
it is, and it's such a good
Masculine is the
time. Whereas
soundtrack.
this movie makes me sad, but in a way that I like, I bargained for. Like I knew what I was going
Yeah.
in for, versus it bumming me out. Like not in like a hereditary way, but
Yeah.
in like a really beautiful piece of art kind of way.
No,
Yes.
yeah, like that's like another thing, because like there's so many juxtapositions between the two. Like the first one, the original, is very colorful in everything, and then that soundtrack is crazy, like just absolutely
It's banging on your eardrums.
Yeah, the whole time.
It's
And
full on
then-
banging on your eardrums.
The remake,
yeah.
quote unquote, is toned down and everything, and then the score is so beautiful, so sad.
It's very
Tom
quiet.
York,
It's
bro.
very restrained. It's
And, like-
haunting and times. The choirs that's used, the piano melodies, and even his
And
own voice.
Tom
He puts his
York
voice
is
into it.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
it just
obsessed.
makes you
Radiohead,
cry
man.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Tom York can do no wrong. Just honestly, do no wrong.
You can do no wrong
There's-
in my eyes. Sorry, it's also a Tom York.
There's also In My Eyes. What's that song called? It's in the Twilight soundtrack, isn't it?
It's in the second movie. It's
Yeah,
where,
it's so
or
good. It's the
Hearing
running
Damage.
scene. Oh, hearing damage.
Hearing
Yeah.
Damage, yeah.
There's this sort of soundtrack is, and also like he has like full-blown songs like throughout the film, and they're so well intercut that even I like when I was listening to the soundtrack this morning and all yesterday, that there is some really restrained quiet scenes where Tom York's voice is on the track, but it's very barely audible. It's barely audible. And there's certain scenes, like for example the scene in where the witches are selecting whether to go be led by Marcos or Blanc. You can hear this sort of psychedelic kind of xylophone kind of music going on in the background when she turns on the radio, and you can just barely hear Tom York saying selection over and over again, like in the track. It's not a word of a lie. It is so good. And then the opening song, Suspiriorum,
that
so
movie,
good.
Yeah, it makes me like it's really like kind of gut punching stuff. But
Yeah.
like this is a movie where I'm like, fuck, this would have been such a challenge to score and stuff, you know. But like, because I feel like this movie, like many of the movies we've talked about and given high praises to, like the soundtrack is a character all in itself. Like it's not just it's not kind of just
It's an
happenstance.
entity.
Exactly, like it kind of almost delivers the story.
Yeah.
But the soundtrack, Nina Hagen, they have Nina Hagen when everybody gets into the door. It's like 2 seconds. It's where we first meet Olga, where they actually get to the dorms.
Why don't you talk to me like you actually love me?
Oh, no, like, when we were in the cinema, I was like jumping up, you know, because like,
I
again,
never noticed that.
it's
Nina Hagen, yeah.
it's fully time period
Nina
accurate.
Hagen.
Yes.
But credited as
No
Nina,
way.
the Nina Hagen band, so it's like pre her like just screaming, but like right as she's like getting into punk and stuff.
More
like that,
expressive,
you know?
yeah.
You know, because it would have been 77. Yeah, she still would have been.
This was also a thing
more, isn't
where
it?
I did think Tom York, he literally calls it, it's not just a soundtrack, he said it's a form of making spells. And he said, like, that's how folk came around, was as, like, it's nearly a 15-minute track, Volk.
Volk is what my
It is
fucking like
gorgeous.
anxiety sounds like. No joke.
Exactly, and it just continuously, the crescendo of that music just continuously builds and builds and builds.
There's
until
no
it,
payoff.
Yeah, there's no way.
It's,
It just do.
It's a weird
At the end.
psychological thing people have where, and they use it kind of a lot in movies, like, but sometimes way more subtly than you think they would. Where there's like that building, the kind of building sound where there's no like leveling off or anything like that. It's like if a plane is lifting off, but there's no, you know, there's no drop or there's no kind of evening out. It just keeps going up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
You know, whereas this, I guess it is like do, 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 do. It's all kind of going up and going down and stuff.
To me, this kind of like there's this thing where it's like they're not specifically evil. Like Mother Marcus makes it evil because she has forgotten why they were there.
Yeah. And she's an
And, like,
imposter. That's why she's punished
That's,
at the end.
yeah, exactly. And that's why she's so
like,
gross and decrepit.
With
Yeah.
all the pollutions that became her throughout the years, like she let the power take over her. But like the dance company in itself is never specified to be evil witches. They only do certain things to like protect themselves, like when they put the spells on the men.
Oh, I love that.
policeman, yeah.
I love with the little hook and
Yeah,
everything.
with
They're
the-
like,
Look at the little dude getting bigger.
It's written with it's written by men, and like only men would find that evil because they have no control over themselves. Where there's
That
women
one of
who
the
see
cops
that
is
as them
even
protecting
stuck
themselves.
out like that,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like this, or something like that in the
Yeah,
corner.
because I think it's supposed to be like there's it like pushes the narrative of it being like, oh well, you're a witch, and having that be kind of synonymous
Yes.
with just being like a shitty woman,
Yes.
versus it be like
an
you are actually
empowered
like a
woman.
magic user.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing I
Like-
do like, and I think that's exactly why they have like the voting system, is because it's like, okay, we can't just have like autonomy and have like one person rule over all, because the nature of power is corruption.
Yes.
So there needs to be like a rotation in power and stuff, you know?
I think that's really interesting when you think of like, it's a voting system. They're not evil, and like literally, there's no evil put into it until there's like Mother Marcos introduced, and the spell is like to transfer Mother Marcos. I think it's not really clear what they're doing with that ritual at the end, but I think what's happening is they're going to take Mother Marcus out of that body and put her in Susie's body.
Yeah,
because
it's a transference.
And to me, right, at the end of this, Susie was born Suspiriarum. Susie was not made. Like, she is, like...
Spoiler if you haven't seen this movie.
No, but it's, like, I think, like, she's what Mother Marcos claims to be.
Yes.
You know, as in she actually is, like, just a physical reincarnation of Suspiria. And we even kind of get with Susie's mother saying that, like, she's my ultimate sin, she's the stain I left on the world. We kind of get the sense that she knows about Susie.
And who and what Susie is, yeah.
Exactly. And yeah, there being, like, very much so a distinction between there being a Susanna and a Susie, where it's like, Susanna is the human kind of shell, and then Susie is Suspiriarum, the thing from inside. And that line of just, like, I am she. You know? You can tell that, like, Mother Marcos is, like...
Of which of the three mothers...
were you anointed?
Were you anointed? Yeah.
I am she.
In a weird way, kind of like a coming of age movie.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Coming of age movie where she's like, they're like I was going to say something earlier about the thing, like the translation of folk is a German word, and it means people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like
it's like the whole movie is kind of about people. It's about people becoming other people making decisions about who wants to be where, and like people moving from A to B, and like trying to make something new of their life.
Yeah.
This literal coming of age. Like at the end, I don't know, like when I rewatched the movie a couple of times over, I don't know what is actually happening there when she kind of opens her chest up at the end, but it's kind of like a vagina.
It's entirely meant to be that.
No, it actually is.
It's meant to be a vagina.
It actually is.
So then she's kind
straight
of
up
like
a vagina with
giving
teeth.
birth to herself in the kind of artsy sense.
Yeah.
That's
really
the only
giving,
part of
like,
the
in
movie
that
I actually
literal sense.
didn't like.
So
She's
what?
like,
Oh, sorry. Go on.
She's like giving birth to herself, and she says death to all other mothers, or death to all fake mothers. I can't remember
Yeah,
which
death
one
to
it
all
is.
other mothers.
And then she's killing everyone who
Selected
is
Marcos.
pretending to be another mother, and she also killed her own mother when we relook at that scene. And actually, I find it really funny that the same actress who played her mother also played the death.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Now,
Like,
that's the thing.
Isn't that weird?
That was the one... Because, again, a lot of this movie is inference and kind of... not behind the scenes, but the one thing that I was kind of like, what the fuck is that? Was death, because I was like...
Sorry, it's not death. It's meant to be a personification of death. It's not meant to be death itself.
Really,
it's meant to be like...
Oh, you almost had me say a slur.
It's not meant to be death himself. It's just meant to be an entity of death, if that makes sense. It's not the actual... Yeah, but... Yeah.
This is not a movie. It's...
A personification of
it. A movie, yeah. But,
sorry, that sounds pretentious.
Well, no, but just kind of at the end, it seems like, oh, what the fuck? It's the most kind of... like that last... Well, it's not even like the last 15 minutes. There's a bunch of times where this movie... Because we were
you
in the
think
cinema,
it's going to
and
end,
I was like,
and it doesn't.
it's the end, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's
Even when
it's the editing of that
the
last
credits
scene.
roll, there's
Another scene.
ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it says the end.
I think like that kind of last, like the final ritual, that kind of stuff, it's the most kind of vague and like unanswered for kind of thing, because it's the most kind of fantastical like scene in the movie. And again, we get the chest, which to me very, very much so gave me Bjork, because like Bjork for like Volnjörka and stuff like that had very much so chest wound be the thing, my heel chest wound. But yeah, that last scene, it's a lot. But then also you kind of feel like, how many times has this happened before? Because like Blanc is just like, it's just half decapitated from the back, but also it's not like a, oh shit, somebody help me. It seems kind of like a fuck's sake kind of thing. You know? Well, for real, because, like, we get that, like, Blanc
Oh, she's
and
still
Marcos...
alive. She's like, huh?
Oh, no, I love it. Because we get that, like, Blanc and Marcos and stuff like that
They have this tension between each other.
Exactly. Like, they set up the school. It all kind of goes back to them. Like, that's why there is no rise in power or potential rise in power until Susie gets there.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that's why I don't think... that's why, like, Blanc is, like, spared. That's why, like, most of the witches are spared, is because it's like, okay, I can, like, read into you. You're not a piece of shit. And also, you weren't trying to, like, claim to be me.
Yeah.
You know? Also, the fact that they make fucking Marcos just wear, like, tiny little glasses.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
She looks like an insect in a really weird way.
like a brain bug.
Yeah.
Like a slug, but also
Like something
like, kind of
Lovecraftian,
rigid.
and
Yeah.
yeah, it's just nasty. I do...
You know what I-
Sorry, go on.
You know what I read though, actually, about the characters that Tilda Swinton played? They're like 3 forms of ego.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes.
It's Freud. I have that, yeah.
Yeah, it was like something ego, super ego. But
Weird.
I was surprised to see that like super ego was the doctor.
Yeah,
Held
so
up down.
I have actually a note based off of him, because it does actually, there's a few like little tidbits about him. Like, for example, like, well, the first thing about him obviously is he is a psychiatrist, or he's not a psychiatrist, he's a psychoanalyst.
He's a fucking psycho.
Yeah, and essentially, like, even on
Psycho
his
bitch.
desk,
Klepto
if you're looking at some of the books that he write, like, I actually had a look. I paused the screen to look up these, and it was like, Die Psychologie der Übertragung, which is basically the psychology of transference, and then the other one is The Secrets of the Freemasons. So, which was really interesting, because, like, again, you have two things there. You have transference and transfiguration, and then the other one is essentially about the male ego. So it does make sense that he would be what you know what I mean, like it makes sense that. But also the other thing is, the reason why it's really surprising is because Dr. Kemper also lives with the trauma of the Holocaust, i.e. his wife. So it makes sense as to why he would be that way, but also why it's surprising. You
Did
know?
we notice who the wife was?
Oh, Anka, yeah, she's
Jessica Harper. It's the original Susie.
She's Susie Banyan.
Susanna Banyan.
But
I love her in that first movie.
one point I really had about this one was the fact that, like we were saying earlier, contrasting the original with this is how bleak it is. Was obviously it was inspired by, and I had to look this up, Rainer Warren Fassbender, who was a prolific left-wing filmmaker for the new German cinema era, and who mainly dealt with like post-war stigmatisms, i.e. like poverty, reconstruction, marginalization, racism, sexism, all of these types of things, integration, xenophobia, all of these types of things. And stylistically, it was there, like, that's where they took that from, because Guadagnino wanted to use it as, quote unquote, the destruction of Stalinism in his film, because in the 70s, of course, you had the emancipation of women, you had the pill, you had the end of the class system, like, you know, the breaking down of the bourgeoisie at the time, all of that type of thing sort of was broken down, and everyone was brought back down to everyone's level. Do you know what I mean? So, like, that's how I see that. It's like, it's fantasy and expressionism sort of dies in this film in a way, and where Argento did it well, Guadagnino like goes for this really kind of cold, colorless, like quasi-realistic sort of way to it, if that makes sense, you know?
But is it weird that, like, even though I get that that's the effect he's going for, this movie feels so much cozier than Argento's? Like, something about, I don't know. It gives me the feeling of, like, knowing that it's raining heavily outside, but you're
all
indoors,
the time,
you know,
all the
like,
time.
It feels cozy. Also, nobody seems to be like bothered about the rain. Like, when the two officers show up, they're fully both just standing in the rain, just getting completely pissed off.
And it's not just that kind of light rain, it's that splotchy rain. It's like, if you're out of it in within 20 seconds, you are wet. You are soaking wet.
Like, well, I'm already soaking wet.
Yeah.
Like, why would I bother to run?
Yeah.
You know, but like when Susie shows up and everything, it's like she's all wrapped up, and then she's like, she gets there and she's underneath that bridge, the kind of the motocross kind of thing. when she first gets to the academy and stuff, you know, and it's like something about this movie does just feel very cozy and kind of, I don't know, warm and kind of toasty or something like that, you know.
Yeah, there's
and
actually
it's almost ASMR at points.
It is.
A lot of
The
scenes are very, very intimate.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
exactly what I was going to talk next, was the sound mixing, the production design when it came to sound. Like, things that I noticed about the film was whenever there was glass in the scene, the bending or wobbling of glass reverberations showed up all the time. The footfall.
When they dropped the sight thing on the table. Yeah.
That was in the trailer, and I was convinced that because that table looks like it's covered in blood.
Yes.
You know.
The like things like footfall, you can literally hear Mother Marcos breathing in almost every single scene. Also present in the original. Yes. Yeah, behind the red curtain.
Yeah.
You have even, you know, the tape recorder that plays Volk. When she is reversing, you do like rewinding it, and the irony is that performance of Volk, because I had to look it up for a little bit of trivia with that. The taping that she plays is not a taping of Volk; it's a taping of a recording of a recording. So when it's played, it sounds even more distorted than the original copy.
There's like that really adds to. If you do anything with photography or film, it's really funny. Like when you say folk, like, and you know that means people, and then the taping of a recording is called generation loss.
Yes,
that's what the technique is called. So then every time something is passed down, it loses something.
Yeah.
So like metaphor on metaphor and metaphor.
Like the way I view the taping that's played, i.e. in the dance rehearsals and the actual performance, is I imagine someone was playing it and then they played it in a hall and then that was the recording that's being played.
I was going to say, there's more kind of like a hollow kind of tinny sound about it. One thing you said there was about every time we see glass. I love the idea that, like, you do really get the sense that it's, like,
empty and
everybody's always been, like, watched.
Yeah.
You know? Like, we get that kind of at the start with Patricia in the doctor's office, and she sees everything, like, with, like, eyes. Are you okay? She sees everything, like, with eyes and stuff like that, and she even kind of, like, smashes down the portrait. But then we see when Susie gets there, she kind of looks up, and we can kind of see Miss Tanner kind of look up towards that, It's like a big mirror slash like
kind of thing,
glass or whatever, and we see that she is being watched every time, and then also it like she can see through people, you know. Like I think it would be very, very easy for this movie, especially because so much of it is kind of based on spells and ritual, for it to be kind of cheesy and kind of corny, but like you said it earlier. It's like this is how you kind of imagine like magic would work in real life. And also I did have note that like any magic in this movie, it's not like you flip your wand and you have what you have. Magic in this movie is hard work and
it takes time and effort.
You know, it's like there is a lot, and that's the thing. It's not like these witches. I don't feel like anybody kind of just is able to do it and be like, whatever, it's fine. Like you do kind of get that, like a lot of them are like, I mean, this fucking sucks, but like it's necessary. You know, it's like we need this to kind of continue to have what we have, you know.
There's a dependency on everybody in the movie.
Together.
Like, if one thing is, like, if a link in the chain is broken, it's really bad for them.
Exactly, we get a lot of discussion of, like, how the fuck was I supposed to know this is what would happen with Patricia, or this is what would happen with Sarah and stuff.
Yes.
You know, and I actually noticed Caroline, one of the dancers, she's able to jump really, really high and like have like really major jumps and stuff. And I think she's supposed to be deaf because we get
she doesn't talk.
She doesn't talk, but also the only noises we get are kind of
grunts.
I don't want to say deaf people noises, but it kind of kind of grunts and stuff like that. But it's like okay, well, fuck. Like we clearly give a shit about you because you're a dancer in our academy and we take care of you, but we need this from you.
That's
and
what
then
they
we
did.
see
They took
Caroline.
it from her
Exactly,
and they gave it to
because
Susie.
immediately she's on the floor convulsing in pain. But I'm curious as to how aware any of the girls are because about anything going on, because then at the end none of them remember anything.
Yeah,
they
they're
all
all in
think
a
they just
trance.
said I drank too much wine after all that like huge fucking ceremony and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that they all go through the exact same, if you want to call it like that, an initiation process, because they all say like, oh, it's the nightmares. Like everybody who goes in for the first 2 weeks, they have like
Yes.
unbelievably bad sleep.
I was dreaming of
they
hairballs
kind of
and
have
toilets
this,
for
like,
And toilets, yeah.
yeah,
The dream
they have like
sequences in
this
this movie.
weird feeling that something's not right, but after a while, I think they're too, like there's a glamour put over them, and then they kind of don't see it, so they don't know exactly what they're doing. They pass it off as something else because all they know is like they're one of the best dance academies in the world, and that's all they really see.
Yeah.
And then there's like these unfortunate things that happen. So they just, and like it's also the time and the place. Like we're in Berlin and it's the 70s. Like shit is happening, and the city is kind of falling apart around us. Like we're on an island in the middle of the Iron Curtain.
Exactly,
Yes.
like a creepy dream is like the least of your concerns. But I just want to touch on that kind of while we're there. The dream sequences in this, I fucking love it. And to
Obsessed.
me, I think if there was more of this, because there had been plans to remake Suspiria for a long time. It was supposed to be Darren Aronofsky. He was supposed to get that done with Natalie Portman, and then that ended up turning into Black Swan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ended up turning into Black Swan. So we could have gotten it much earlier than we thought.
Interesting fact, actually. The same person who worked on her... this might be a movie trivia, guy. The same person who worked on the dancing with Natalie Portman in that movie actually worked with
Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Johnson on this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
She
they
did,
trained-
what,
that
2
same
years of
person
training?
trained her for both
Yeah,
movies.
she danced a lot.
Yeah, she's
Tippi
like
Hedren's
she's a
granddaughter.
full what you call it? She is a fully qualified dancer, and that's how she got the job in the first place. It was because they did a thing. Say it again.
Dakota Johnson, Tippi Hedren's granddaughter.
No way.
Yeah.
No fucking way.
Yeah, because Tippi Hedren, or fucking Dakota Johnson's mom is Melanie Griffith. Melanie Griffith is Tippi Hedren's daughter.
Wow.
Also, the cast of this movie, Mia Goth is becoming...
Full English.
She is becoming like a horror movie darling.
Yes.
I think she knows how to kind of like pick and choose. She
Full
was just
spaghettification, love it.
Well, seriously, I really, really love her. Something about her in this movie really like endears me to her, because she in this movie kind of takes the place of what Susie was in the original
The
movie.
kind of investigative part of her, yeah.
Exactly. And love that she doesn't believe it at first, and she's like, I don't want to be impolite, but like, you sound fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Also, the strudel she was eating, that shit looked
It was so good when she was sitting with
It
Dr.
looked so
Klemper in the
dense and
restaurant.
everything.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was like-
so good.
Yeah, she was about to get up and walk away from that.
Yeah.
Are you fucking dumb, bro?
Like what? Like you probably spent like 15 quid on that. Like
That
what
is
the
some,
fuck?
That is some rich people shit, for sure.
That is some bougie white people shit. What the fuck? The thing about it is like the way you said about the dancing, and then obviously like the magic is implied, is also implied in some of the camera movements as well. 3 in particular is whenever snapshots, which basically just means it moves into a close-up, but it cuts every few seconds. So it's done with Patricia when she feels the presence of the witches in Dr. Klemper's office. You can hear them breathing, and then it just cuts right to the Freemason triangle on the book.
Yeah.
And she like flips it over. Then the next one is
Sorry, I don't know where to... I went, yes.
yes. And then you have when obviously Caroline is sort of entranced to take her magic. It cuts to her face.
I was going to
super
say, yeah,
quick.
you get the...
Yeah.
It's the same thing when Blanc walks into the room.
Yes,
when
you have the
Susie's-
same thing. It's like she's called to her.
Yeah.
The other one is divider shots. So when Dakota's talking about what it must be like to fuck like an animal, you have Tilda Swinton in a full divide shot in her bathroom. She flicks her hands, and then over the back of Dakota's head, of Susie's head, she just like it's when the dreams start. Like that's how
Yeah.
it starts.
Yeah, they're sending her their dreams.
And then you have spins. So like when Dakota spins and then
is straight up
that's
a
when
shot
Tilda Swinton's
out of Black Swan, and that's not like a fuck you or anything like that to Black Swan or to Suspiria,
because it's great.
But the shot of her dancing, where she's spinning, and then we kind of get the the soundtrack on that, it kind of gives like like if you blew into like a bicycle wheel or something like that. Like there's just really weird kind of like cuts in it, but like fuck, the first kind of all the introductions in this movie just make me
fantastic.
Oh, it's so good, you know. And who they cast, just kind of like everybody
this unknown creepy. Actor as Dr. Klemperer is just fucking so cool.
You know what I mean? Like this whole thing genuinely looks like a Grace Coddington organized Vogue shoot.
Yes.
Like, every like kind of frame in this is like it's
pure Vogue.
Stunning.
Yeah.
It really is. It's really, really gorgeous. And because it's
the
period,
fashions and the costumes.
Everything is but again, that also makes everything feel kind of modern, because that's all kind of back now.
Back in fashion,
like a chunkier boot, gloves,
a long
hair
coat.
curled under, exactly, all that kind of
big
stuff.
Big time.
But also, this movie made me want to go out and do dinner and drinks with the girls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they all go out or whatever like that.
And you just have conversations in your head.
Exactly. I did notice actually, after they do Volk, the final performance.
No, I just wanted to say that. I didn't correct you. I just wanted to say that.
I know, but I wanted you not to say that. You're like, I didn't correct you, except I absolutely did. But at the end, after they do the final dance, when they all go out, for that kind of right before the ceremony, Blanc and Susie don't have food. Everybody else is eating, and they're just sitting in front of like blank plates. Also, I love the kind of they well got it in.
Oh, they were in on each other.
Oh, seriously. It's like, girl,
they were
I love your wig.
punani.
I love your wig.
Punanana. Pussy hygiene,
like,
pussy good. Clean that pussy just like you should. Boom, boom, bada wah, wah.
And then they're both just like, they're learning French, and you can tell everybody around them is like,
what the fuck?
Okay. I guess, you know.
Don't you love that random suggestion when she's like, oh, and you should learn French.
If you're going to be a dancer, you should learn French. It's more chic that way, you see. But I love the idea.
I actually thought that was because of like when they had like transference, like Madame Blanc or Mother Marcus went into her body, that she would know all these things, that she would have them already ingrained in her mind, and it wouldn't have to be retrained.
Yeah.
You know? So that, like, if Blanc went into her head, she would know French. If Mother Marcus went in, she would be able to dance or whatever.
Yeah. Well, see, my kind of reading of it is that, like, it's like a secret language on top of a secret language on top of a telepathic conversation. You know, because we don't actually get to hear what they're saying to each other when they're sitting across from each other. It's just silence, and we get everybody else. We get a lot of the older, like the actual teachers and stuff like that. They're all matrons. Kind of like, they're kind of leaning their heads and kind of like resting the face against somebody's cheek, and you can kind of tell like the dancers are kind of like, oh. Okay.
Well, not only that, but like they're, to me, it's them putting them into the, like, they're sirens and they're putting them into the trance.
Oh, it's like a trance.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how that felt to me.
They arrive in the academy.
And they're already down there.
Under duress.
And,
a lot of titties in this movie, but this is like one of those movies where like nudity isn't sexual at all.
Yeah, it's purely art for
it's just
art,
without clothes.
you know what I mean?
No, if you like look at like, I don't want to bring this to, because they're not Wiccans, they're like witches, and I'm not going to say anything. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no kind of like explicit type of
do,
witchcraft.
Well, no,
like,
it's pre-Christian, pre-devil.
Yeah, like usually if you do magic, or especially like high magic in these books, it's like they call it skyclad. You do it naked because that's like the way you are.
Yeah, the
like,
most natural state. Yeah,
is naked.
Except
and, like,
when you're wearing a hairdress.
Oh my god! This was the hairball on season 4 of Drag Race.
Apparently, the walls of that, like the main room when they were doing the spellcasting scene, apparently they were covered in hair.
Oh,
all
for
of the
sure,
walls.
for sure. Even the photo frame when Sarah first gets down there, when we see the portrait of Marcos and Blanc,
Oh, that's
the
covered
frame is
Sorry.
lady.
Yeah.
No, pause this shit.
What?
This shit is. Let me fucking finish one fucking thing, bro. I'm about to kick you out. The frame is like made out of hair and like gunk or something like that, you know. I was kind of expecting. I was actually looking around that like kind of roomed in there for the peacock with the crystal plumage, because that's the.
Oh yeah.
I was looking for that because that to me is like the.
Actually, I'm gonna
if you were-
rewatch it now and like look for all those like little bits. I feel like he definitely would have put something in there.
It wasn't there. I was looking for it because to me that's like the. If you were gonna have like a, I don't know, a piece of like merch or memorabilia from that movie, it would be
In there.
the bird with the crystal plumage. You know.
I see that as like a cabinet of curiosities.
Yeah, there's like a big vase that's got like boobs all over.
Yeah,
it.
it's like loads of porcelain faces and shit like that. And
Yeah.
it's just, and of course the hook thing is like
Which,
in the glass
to me,
case.
just seems like a really inefficient way to lift somebody up because there's no handle on it. It's just one smooth...
Oh, it just kind of slips
it's,
off.
Like it's a hook, but not attached to anything. So what are you gripping onto if you're lifting up? If you're lifting up a body. Now, speaking of that, can we get on to Olga's?
We
Olga's
never
death?
fucking.
Okay.
I was like, I'm so surprised we got so far into this
Without talking about it.
Talking about that scene.
So Olga's
I was
death
thinking about
to
it, I was
me
like,
is
how
the
long?
equivalent of when Sarah kind of runs the gambit and it falls into barbed wire and it gets stabbed through the heart and
Yeah.
gets chased and all that kind of stuff. To me, it's the most memorable scene of the movie. And when we went to go see this on
It's
Halloween,
known as the scene.
people got up and left and didn't come back.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't even judge them for it because it's
hard to watch.
it is hard to watch. It's like even for like a gorehound, you know, it's really like
It goes on.
No, because you feel so bad for her.
exactly.
You do.
She has a line before she says, I'm gonna get the fuck out of this box of rabies.
I
don't know
love
why
that.
I
love
yeah,
that.
I love it because I'm like,
She's had enough.
and this is shit. This is shit. But also, she is not an actress. She was a dancer that they
Hired
got
specifically.
to act because she could kind of do all the things. But Jesus Christ, it's the fact that she doesn't die. Like it's not a death.
She is still
gets
alive.
twisted up, and
I think they're all still alive right before the end where they cut out their bowels.
Their
They're
it
all
is, yeah,
still
literally.
alive.
yeah.
Cause, and there's another girl in there because I didn't notice when we watched it in the cinema first time because I haven't like.
That's
I-
Olga. She doesn't
No,
have any limbs.
No, Olga's behind, and
Patricia is
Patricia's
tucked
there,
up.
and then she looks over there,
then-
and Marcos is there in a bed, and there's
Yeah.
another girl next to her. That
Oh.
isn't either of those two girls.
I didn't notice that.
And that scene is also very disturbing because, again, like we learned that they're both still alive, but I don't know, something about seeing somebody who's like blinded and can't speak and has no arms or legs or has no like hands or feet or anything like that. It's just like, oh my god, like they've just kept her this whole time. But yeah, so I just want to get the actress.
I do want to
real
say
quick.
that
Elena Fakina.
Elena Vakina, Olga Ivanova, I think it was Ivanova. That
Ivanova?
scene, it's called like the violent dance, and basically that thing goes on for just over 7.5 minutes.
Yeah,
7.5 minutes of her being thrown around a room, and I love the fact that it's so quickly cut between Olga and Susie, since where Susie is almost in a way kind of like pulling her,
Oh,
and
she
then
is.
she's
You see?
pushing her, and
Yeah.
it's literally called, like in the scene, it's called the violent dance, and like she is, her ribs are broken, her
The jaw is
the
pulled
jaw
out
is
and
dislocated,
offset. The
arms
leg
broken,
is
legs broken,
completely like there's
twisted.
fractures and all this kind of stuff. And I was thinking last night, I was like, "There's no way somebody could survive that."
What did we call it? Olga pretzel? Do you
Olga
remember
pre-
that?
yeah,
Olga pretzel.
Olga pretzel. But my thing was like, I don't know. You know, when you're watching a movie, you just have a little like, "Ooh, maybe this." My thing was like, they're just keeping her, like they're not letting her die.
Yeah.
Like they're keeping her alive enough just so that she is alive, you know, because like again, that's kind of the entire point of the movie, is to keep Marcos alive, so they can do that. But it's just the idea that she
She would have sat there for hours.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is
collected her.
that gets me? Is when we see her finally there, when she's just kind of like... Like, we can hear, it's just like the most violently ill you've ever been, where there's just like no liquid left in your body.
You're just convulsing.
She's just choking. And then they come in. It's like, you think like, oh, it's done. Like, we're never going to see her again. And then they all come in and just with the hook, just
and
like
it goes in
through like the fat of the thigh and like the meat of the arm and stuff. Oh, it's so good.
It's sort of like, and if you look up the soundtrack, the track is called Hooks. The whole time you can hear obviously like the piano wire as the part of the track with that weird kind of like flute kind of going on. You can literally hear, if you play that soundtrack, that track, you can hear all the hooks going in, her violent like gasps and breathing. You hear that kind of like da-dum of the door opening, and then all of them dragging her out and into the Mutter house. It's just so like creepy and weird, and like the fact that she's still alive. She's even like trying to like say things while the hooks are going in, but all it's coming out is gasps and like
gurgles.
So she can feel it.
Like,
she can
her body
feel
is
it.
just broken. Like, they just like snap her in half. It's because it's not just like the leg is broken. The leg is pulled like out to the side. The hip is broken and offset, pulled up to the back.
And then down back.
And surprisingly, they did a ridiculous amount of this practically.
Yes.
They kind of just...
They just green screened her leg and arm.
Exactly. Like, even the jaw offset, obviously like everything is kind of enhanced, but the jaw offset was like a denture piece that they put in her mouth to have her mouth like set this way. And again, just to that actress, I was like, geez, like she really sold it. Like, you feel...
Apparently they did that for 3 days. They did that recording for
They picked this girl up by her ankles and swung her into a wall for 3 days. But she really sells the like, because she's not like, oh, ow. It's like the sounds somebody actually makes when they're in pain and like panicking, and it's like you just feel like more than like usual victims in movies. I just feel so bad for her.
Yeah.
You know, because she tried to get away. Like, that happened in the middle of her leaving the academy.
Yeah.
You know, and they already knew what happened with Sarah, or well, not with Sarah, with Patricia. So, like, she kind of didn't have a choice.
The one thing I love about it is the way Olga's crying, it makes her look like she's crying like hot wax or something. Her eyes are like popping almost out of her skull in a weird way. You know when she's trying to like rub her eyes like this, she can barely see.
The tears are actually like
they
glycerin.
look plastic.
They're like, they made it of like glycerin or something like that. They kind of added all these teardrops onto her and then kind of put something in her eyes.
Because it looks like she's like she's not trying to cry, she's actually trying to like wipe these things away, and it doesn't. I think they're meant to be like forced tears or something. She's like, why am I crying? I don't want to cry.
Yeah.
Like, why is this in my eyes?
It's just, it's such a visceral scene, and like, it's it was hard to watch. I mean, I wasn't a fucking baby, so I like stayed and watched it.
Yeah.
But like, it was one of the only movies that I kind of like almost looked away. Almost. Yeah. Just because I was like, like, it's still going, because it's like she breaks the chest, she breaks the arm, she breaks the leg, then she like
starts
breaks
vomiting,
the hips.
she pisses herself.
It's when she pisses herself, when it was just kind of like, I'm gonna say the word pathetic, but it's like that's what you feel like that for her. It's just like she's just
she has no control.
Exactly. Yeah, like it's all gone. Like it's kind of over for her. There's nothing else she can do when she gets to that point, because she's like throwing up bile and pissing and screaming.
Like, I think as a gorehound, you can like take it. You can be like, oh, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But it's because you feel bad for her. Like, what did she do?
Yes, exactly.
And she was trying to leave. Like,
she would have exposed them.
Like, maybe, like, I think they might have been standing up for themselves. Yeah, but. Like, she
didn't need to do all that.
and you're kind of like, why are you doing this? Just like, let her go. Like, who's gonna believe her? But they don't let her go. And you think like she's so close to freedom. it was like one of the things about the movie is like you could literally walk out of there at any point. You're not tied to that academy.
Yeah,
you can leave,
and it's kind of like the room almost just happens to her.
Yes,
like, it's not as if she's like, because she knows this school, like she fucking lives there. But it's kind of like it's like she gets turned around for like 1 second, and then it's the room of just mirrors.
Yeah.
And the fact, I don't know, something about this room makes me like, it gives me like razor blades or something like that, because it's not just 4 mirrors. It's like it's all these
thin mirrors.
Everything is kind of weird and segmented.
I don't know about you, but whenever you go into like a fitting room and they have 2 mirrors on both sides, and you're like looking, and it just keeps going back into darkness.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, like this feels like an expanse. It feels
I can't get out of here. Like if I went down that way, it would never end, and I would be locked in.
That touching your nose and like pointing or something like that.
To me, it gave me Twin Peaks when Laura Palmer was like, meanwhile.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
she like does it, or like station to station, you know, the kind of like the Bowie kind of thing. We actually got like a couple of images of Bowie doing the.
I mean, it's the Berlin Wall.
It's like Deuteronomy or something like that. It's him with all the symbols on the floor with the black chalk.
Yes.
And we get like that imagery is almost exactly mirrored when they're taping off the floor and
the
stuff
sigil
like
that they put onto the floor.
Yeah.
Actually, come to think of it, that was one thing that I did see when I was rewatching the thing. On the floor in the rehearsal studio, you can see previous marks of the sigil on the floor. It's kind of a darkened area staining the wood.
Well, because they
almost.
just tried this with
Patricia.
Tried
it, yeah.
You know, because we get a line, I think, between Tanner and
it failed.
And Marcos, where it's like, do you really want to waste another girl so soon? Because Patricia just happened. Like, I get the sense that this movie, or at least the kind of bulk of it, takes place over like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, because it's raining for the first half of the film, and then it's snowing for the last half of the film.
Yeah, exactly. It is kind of shocking. Like, everybody is kind of shocked by how quickly Susie like kind of like
rises through the ranks. Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like, oh well, not only did you showed up after I tried to call your fucking hotel and have you rescheduled, but you're here now.
But you're not meant to be here at all.
Fräulein Banyan, I guess we'll bring
understand?
you to your fucking room.
Fräulein Banyan, guten Tag.
And then she's like, oh, where's Madame Blanc? And it's like,
she didn't fucking want to
get... You fucking thought! You know? But, like, again, I love the kind of idea that, like, she's going in there, like, already knowing who and what she is.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of then just, like, ascending up real quick, you know?
Yeah.
She really takes the fuck over. Now, Dakota Johnson, I do just want to kind of, like, note really quickly.
Can I just pause you guys for a sec?
Why? Sure. What did you do now?
So, Fräulein Susanna Banyan herself, Dakota Johnson, I fucking love her in this movie. It's like, I think it could have been very, very easy for her to play it over the top or play it kind of a little bit more grand.
Susie Banyan.
She just this is going to sound really tacky, but it's like she is just kind of a force of nature where it's like, I'm not here to fuck you over or to gain anything. I'm kind of just here to make sure everything is in balance.
Yes.
And you kind of get the idea that she's the least evil or the least outrightly kind of vindictive of the 3 mothers. You know, Mother Lachenbraum.
Mother Lacrimarum, Mother Tenenbaum, and then
Mother
Suspiriorum. Yeah.
Oh my God,
so, like, I know the Mother of
so
Tears. Yeah. I know the Mother of Tears is meant to be the most vindictive out of the 3 of them.
And we get nods to all 3 mothers in this movie quite directly. We get one of the chapters is called Palace of Tears.
Yes, that's when she walks in.
That I actually found out is also the place in that chapter. He goes through a thing to cross into East Germany. He goes into a checkpoint to cross into East Germany, and the checkpoint is actually called the Palace of Tears, and it's still here. You can actually go in. It used to be a Gestapo office in Berlin. She used to work right next to it, but you can
meet me over by the Palace of Tears, won't you?
Yeah. No, and it's still called the Palace of Tears. It's now a museum for the Gestapo memorabilia.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a good word.
The Palace of Tears. I was going to say Palace of Tears, but...
I actually forget what it's called in German, but like in English it sounds way better.
Well, okay, so while we're on that subject of, like, Klemper and all of that, the one thing that I really wanted to talk about was the Conjuring of Anka. So...
Oh, it's so twisted.
It's so twisted,
That's
and
painful.
But you
it
also
is
get
painful.
that as a gift.
Yes.
In a weird way. I get that, like, Susie is kind of like a... You know what? Like, I'll give you this kind of last couple of moments and you get closure.
Yeah.
Like, I love the scene where she visits him at the end.
So
what
that's
makes
yeah.
me think, like, she's not evil. She just kind of is.
Yeah. So for context, before the witches, the Black Sabbath, the witches conjure Anka after Klemper returns to his dacha in East Berlin. He basically, like, finds her alive, quote unquote alive, in his dacha, and she talks about how she miraculously fled to Bristol. She got by the checkpoint that she was supposed to meet him at, but he wasn't there, so she fled, and the original plan was to go to Bristol, but he obviously never did because she never showed up. So what happens is, and it's so, it really is, it's cruel. I think that's actually the word Susie uses at the end, is she said it was so cruel of them to do that to him.
Yeah, she's like, I regret what my daughters, like, kind of did to you.
Yeah.
Because they also had him, they wanted him
Because
to
she is dead. She is dead. She,
like, there was no chance.
yeah.
But I love the,
I love the chapter ending. It's called A Sliced Pear.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, that's kind of odd. I loved it though. But, yeah, the whole thing, it's so sad. It's so sad.
It's twisted
and then
as
you
fuck.
do kind of get, though, where it's like, he could have saved her earlier.
Yeah.
You know, again, like, not victim blaming, but it's like, I love the fact that, like, we do get it called out that it's like, you were
You
told
could have done this.
your wife had the feeling, and you, super ego, kind of wanted to stay and kind of face things on and see if things would get better
Yeah.
instead of fleeing. You know, because again, that would bruise his ego. That would make him feel like he surrendered. You know,
He does say, like, in this kind of, like, the epilogue scene after she does become Mother Suspiriorum, or like, she fully
Confirmed.
embraces that
Yeah.
she is who she is. Basically, like, Susie does apologize to Klemper, like, saying that she had no choice and would not have done such a thing had she been able to, because she
Can I
was...
just interject really quick? I'm just like, the movie is playing. The movie is playing now, and we're just coming up to that scene, but it's the scene where he's, like, coming home just after they do the spell.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
When
he's sent
walking
out,
back
and
with
it's
his
like
suit
full
in his
walk of
hand,
shame.
and
Yeah.
it's like going, and I'm seeing him walk through, like, the back, like, the Hinterhof at
Yeah.
the back of the house, and I'm like, I've done that so many times, I know exactly how you feel. And all the girls are coming in saying, like, oh, I drank too much, and I'm like, he knows. He fucking knows. What it's
See, it's
actually,
weird.
you're all going off to dance, and I'm like, he fucking knows what it's
'Cause I-
really fucking like.
At this point in the, like, at that point in the movie, I think, like, because he's the witness. So
Yes,
he, like,
that's why
he
they
lost
capture him.
Exactly, like, he lost his mind, you know? They kind of said, but also, again, it's kind of an ego thing where it's like, you're here because you kind of stuck your nose in and stuck around and wanted to know.
And now you know.
wanted to know business or women's business. You kind of stuck your nose in, and now you're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
You know, I think, like, because it's weird. He's kind of the only male character we have in the movie, even
Apart from the policeman.
But
that's
even
it.
as, like, the male lead played by a woman.
Played by a woman, yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Also,
I think, like,
that
he's just
whole
a very
flesh
interesting
skin
character.
suit.
Oh, Tilda's prosthetic cock. Also, not just Tilda's prosthetic cock. Chloe Grace Moretz prosthetic titties. Because those aren't her boobs. She was in makeup for like 5 hours, whereas every other chick on set just got them out. You know, and they look weird. Smuggling raisins, are we, Patricia? But smuggling grey little raisins, are we? But oh fuck! Also, there's a shot when Sarah finds her at the end, and she's like, "I wake up here every day." When Sarah runs away, she kind of just like
sits back into
yeah,
it.
she just like rolls back over into bed, which is like
No, because
it's like a
what
wooden
can she
bench
do?
or something.
Like, she can't leave.
Also, what are you doing now? You're just like, get up. I suppose Sarah does try and help her up, and she's like, I literally can't move, bro. You know?
The other thing with the kind of the ending is implied that we did speak about it, that when Susie does confront Klemper when he's bedridden, right? And she basically said it was cruel and it was wrong, and it does imply that she's a compassionate witch. And I think we said out of all three, the Mother of Sighs is the one that's the most compassionate of the three.
Yes.
Says the Mother of Tears is the most vindictive. The Mother of Darkness is just who she is, and then the Mother of Sighs is the compassionate one. She's the one that is the equilibrium. She's the one that the balance of everything.
And see, I'm so pissed that we'll never. Well, actually, I'm not going to never say never, because
it could happen.
Halloween,
you could get a fan film.
Exactly, but Halloween wasn't a big deal for a couple of years, and they made it shoot it's a huge thing now. So somebody could eventually pick this up, but I want Luca Guadagnino to do it. Yeah. It's just the fact that they establish the Mother of Sighs, Tears, and Darkness in this movie means that there was an already pre-established thought to span this world out.
Yeah.
Because in the original Suspiria, I think Suspiria it's the first or second in the series, because
Inferno.
Yeah, exactly. And
Inferno is second. Well, they're spiritual sequels, aren't they?
But they are connected through the mothers.
Yeah.
And we get each mother in each of those movies.
Yeah.
So I'm so pissed that we won't get an expansion of this. Just because I don't care. This is one of my favorite movies to come out in the last 10 years. Yeah. No joke.
Yeah.
It just it also just gives me kind of it gives me faith in horror. And I'm see, you can have something genuinely beautiful.
Yes.
And artful. And it's just the fact that this movie was completely ignored by everybody.
And it was snubbed. It should have gotten at least some sort of mention.
It should have gotten some kind of nominations. Okay, I know we joke about Toni Collette for to give Toni Collette an Oscar, but Tilda Swinton in this movie,
famous.
Oh,
just
my
amazing.
Fucking God, bro! It to play three complete and to fool a lot of people. I know a lot of people really, really did know that it was her in three roles.
Drag King drag,
and she's in a scene with herself. The end.
Less than 4 feet from each other.
Exactly. Different accent, different gender, prosthetic dick, prosthetic tits,
hands.
Exactly. Tiny, tiny, tiny little glasses. I thought it was so cute. But we get a line from her. Sorry. We get a line from her at the end, from Marcos, where it's this is not vanity. This is not art. It's well, what is it though?
What is it though?
Why do you want to stay alive?
What are those dancers? What are those?
No, I think she's saying that because that's playing into her Madame Blanc is about art and about ego.
Yes. It's vanity.
And you know what? I took that shit personally.
But then again, also kind of, in a way, Marcus is it is kind of vanity. You're taking over this beautiful young woman and getting rid of this old wretched body.
Wretched body.
Wretched body.
Yeah.
Well, it's true though. I love the kind of flip though, and the kind of sudden realization of who are you? They're oh shit, she's doing really well. She has all these abilities.
Suspiria.
She's doing everything we want her to do.
Yeah.
And she's fitting in. Also, Madame Blanc loves her anyway. It's I'm gonna inhabit you, and it's but you don't even know. You don't even fucking know. Their A is just no room, because again, I am she.
Yeah.
I am what you're claiming to be and passing off to all these other people that you are.
Yeah.
And then, this ending scene, well, it's not even the ending. This scene, the editing is...
The Sabbath.
I don't like it.
No.
I don't like the weird, choppy, kind of... they cut out every second frame.
Yeah.
And then the blowing up of the heads and all this kind of stuff like that in the cinema. And last night watching it again, I was
oh,
you really didn't have to do all that.
Yeah.
It's kind of jarring, but also it only lasts for 2 minutes, so it's not really that big. But I kind of wish they didn't like do that.
Yeah, so my opinion on the Black Sabbath. First of all, I love a Black Sabbath. Who doesn't love a good Black Sabbath? And obviously the juxtaposition between the violence that's happening on screen and having Tom York sing Unmade is just, it's fantastic to me.
I teared up last
night
watching this.
But the red flashiness of it, that, like you said, that choppiness of cutting out like every second or third frame, and just like it was kind of a little bit much for like. But I also think like the reason why it's so in your face is because the entire
what was the reason?
What was that reason? That's a great soundbite. I'm going to use that. But the fact that throughout 2/3 of this film, even into the half of the last third of the film, is so restrained and muted in color and everything, that having this literal flashing red, it's not just wholly red, it's flashing red at you.
It's a post production, like not the red light was not on set.
Yeah,
I just wish they had stuck with the same style as the movie, because it's the only scene that it happens in.
I would have liked to have seen the blood rather than just red on top of muted blood.
Yeah, because I also actually literally couldn't even really see what was happening.
Yes.
It's only until we kind of get to Patricia, Olga and Sarah.
I want to die.
Yeah, it's like, what is your wish? Just to die. It's like, that's so sad.
Come to think of it, they're the only ones who die peacefully in this movie.
Well, also, yeah, because they literally ask for it. But,
yeah.
I mean,
in her arms.
They also get gutted beforehand.
Yeah.
They get gutted with a hook.
Yeah, it's not like a knife. They just stick it in and pull.
Yeah, it's not a slice. It's literally just a tearing of the flesh, and then all of it comes out. I watched a video on the
because that begins a Black Sabbath,
on the making of all these kind of prosthetics and stuff like that, and just the practicals in this.
I know exactly the video you're talking about.
But that's what I was going to say. We're very, very limited on any releases
production
that we have with this. So Amazon released a kind of official the transformations video with the makeup artist. I'll post his name on the Insta. I don't have it at hand right now. But fuck, the practicals in this are they're crazy.
They're really good. And we appreciate a good practical effect over CGI any day.
Well,
and I think that's why
that's really there. That's really on set. They're really interacting with that.
The heads exploding thing.
Could have done without it.
I could have done without it too.
It felt just a little bit lazy.
What did you think of it, Ryan?
The effects were really fucking good, especially the ones in the dance scene. The end, I actually kind of thought it was a bit more of a callback to the original, because it's the only scene where you get color.
Yeah.
Super color.
Yeah, it also is how they all die in the original.
And it's red. There's a lot of people who call it that movie with a lot of red, the original. And he's just putting this red filter on everything. It's not the exact same, but I think it's kind of referencing that. Yeah. And it's only other reference other than using the original Susie.
Well, I think that was one of the issues that we had, or potential issues we had when the first trailer came out. We were like, where's the colour? We're like, where the fuck is all the colour? Just because colour was so kind of instrumental.
But low-key, you're obsessed.
Oh, yeah, no, this would have pissed me off if this was in any way modernised or in any way kind of patterning itself after the original. The only ties to this are, character names and setting. And that's kind of it. The story really is kind of entirely its own thing. This is, I suppose, all this storyline is happening in the original Suspiria. It's all just inferred and in background.
Yes.
Or we're getting it kind of through a second or even third hand source. We're getting it from a friend of a friend who was investigating X who died at the start of the movie.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of how I would have preferred for the ending to kind of...
I think you would have done really well without the red filter. I think it would have been fine. and forget about that every second.
See, I just think it was the choppy editing of how it, like, the kind of
weird,
like
freezing,
steady,
slow motion kind of stuff.
That kind of, because we had gotten that kind of motion before. I get, like, having
but
that.
not in that film, though.
Oh, well, no,
right
you
up
have.
until that
There was a scene, I think it's literally, like, leading right up to or just kind of after this, where it's Susie as Suspiria kind of walking around, and we get it kind of, like, she's, like, floating. It's kind of dreamlike.
Oh, we actually have the song open again.
Exactly, and I kind of get that because she's essentially become, like, a god, kind of. But I just think for, like, your big finale, I want to see it. I want to be able to see it clearly. You know, because it's like you kind of almost couldn't really tell what was going on. You couldn't really tell who and who wasn't dying.
Yeah.
Until the next day, I guess, when class just resumes back to normal.
They're literally, like, mopping up the blood, like, the day after the night before kind of feel.
And again, just the kind of casualness of this shows that it's like they've done this a million times, but also something about this one in particular feels important. And because Mother Suspiria actually is there in body, but because Madame Blanc says, like, this is the final time we're performing
folk.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so it's like and there's kind of a sense of urgency in this movie of, like, we have to do it before Marcos dies.
Yes,
we have to get her before she's dead. This is our only chance. If Marcos dies, our school is fucked. Like, we need, like, it needs to be this time, and it needs to work, and it needs to stay working. I want to know what the, like, fallout of Marcos dying is, and Suspiria being, like, actually being there in body, you know, and having Blanc still, like, how is the school running after the fact? Because they have, like, their magic is at its most powerful at the end of this movie, you know, and they've gotten rid of all kind of false mothers, all false kind of outliers. Like, everybody there is serious about it, and like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah, the sort of strange dynamic change up that I do see. So obviously, like, Viva Blanc,
there's a second vote.
Yes, there is. She is, like, they announced to the girls afterwards, after their hangover, that Viva Blanc has just suddenly left the production, and she's not coming back. And then in the place of the witch who committed suicide, i.e. stabbing herself in the neck, you know, where she sits on her perch above in the balcony area, is replaced by Miss Tanner.
Yeah.
And she's suddenly doing the exact same thing that the one with the glasses was doing, which was doing this kind of, like, feeling kind of thing.
Yeah, we get the sense, you know, that, like,
the dynamic has changed.
Exactly. It's, like we were saying, it is kind of a rank thing where it's like, it's not like everybody has gone around and changed roles. People have gone up.
It's really weird also that she's the only one, Miss Tanner is the only one who voted Marcos and still lives.
Yes, she did vote Marcos, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. You kind of get the sense that she now is, and it kind of gives us more of a clue as to who that other teacher was and what her role was. Was like, everybody else is here willingly. You're a slave. Like, I'm gonna keep you, and you're gonna do
what I tell you to do.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why, like, we get the sense that, like, that one teacher in particular was the only one that kind of, like, was like, oh fuck, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to, like,
can't do it anymore. Yeah.
But then we also get the kind of inference that Marcos, or that Blanc, is now where Marcos was, where she's going to be kind of the ancient thing that we need to take care of, and she's sick, and she's the heart of the company. We're going to keep her under the floorboard or wherever it is, and Susie is going to then go on to become Madame Blanc, or to become, like, in that kind of role, because it would make sense. It's like, well, we just saw what you could do, like, hands free with that fucking hole in your chest. Why wouldn't you just take over the school? You know? Yeah. So there is kind of a ranking up and a ranking down. Like, there's a shuffle in power.
It kind of reminds me of, like, what was going on then. What still goes on, like, when the new replaces the old, you still have some of the old in the system. Like, what went on then at the time with, like, Meinhof being, like, the ex-SS.
Yes.
And then he like, essentially went on to be, like, this new role in the government for the people. He just switched roles, and nobody really said anything at the time. It's like, oh, well, we got rid of a lot of these Nazis, where we got rid of all of these witches, but we still kept some in, and then there might be a flip in power again where this other side then becomes the ruling thing again. It's
exactly,
like time
replacing the old
time is
doesn't
very
get rid of it.
cyclical.
Like the old is still around, but
Yeah.
they're just kind of being made to be obsolete, you know. And again, I think I love how they connect that kind of B plot with this, because it's not so much a B plot where we like go and focus on it, like where we see scenes of the RAF and all that kind of stuff. It's just to kind of show, like you were saying, and kind of like you were saying,
It's a period piece.
Exactly, that there is that kind of ebb and flow in power, and that like they compared these witches to the SS and to
Yes, it was
communism
fascism,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. That like if you can convince anybody of your delusion, it's real, you know. Or what is it? What did the doctor say? That delusion is a lie that tells the truth.
Yes.
You know, because that's the thing. It's like whether or not at the start when we first meet Patricia, we're not supposed to. I guess like we would have known because we know Suspiria, but like,
You just think
it's like
she's
what's
crazy.
exactly what's the difference of there being actually witches? Like for her, I mean, what's the difference of there being actually witches or her being fully convinced that there is witches? It's like there isn't a difference because she's suffering the same either way. You know, come to find out that everything actually is the way it is. But fuck, bro, the hexen.
Yeah.
We got a lot that works like she's
Ich
witches.
hab ihn something like that. I was right. Sie sind Hexen.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. The
I
kind
wonder
of
how far down the road they went to actually learning German.
A lot
oh
of the
no,
accents are very, very good.
what's her name? Not Patricia Hingle. Who plays her? Chloe Grace Moretz.
yeah.
She speaks German. She is German.
Yeah. Also, again, it's like not.
Yeah, Moretz.
She's got
The
an umlaut
umlaut
in her name.
in her name.
Also, blonde hair, blue eyes. But I do like it that it's like people in this movie are not trying to convince me that they're German. It's people speaking German. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Like I'm not trying to
Good tag.
exactly like I believe that the doctor is German, but like with Susie,
Absolutely.
it's like I don't mind there being like kind of a hello, my Name is like there is kind of a broken thing to it, you know. I don't mind that. She gets there with like 100 quid. She's looking at her money, and some of those are like ones.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like holding it to herself. And
Oh, that's actually something I really just quickly want to touch on is how the title of the film appears during the opening credits. It's not like Suspiria. as a title.
but
it's
same
hidden
as the
in
original.
the shot, and I love it. I loved that.
we get that in the original too.
Yeah.
She gets off the thing, and Suspiria is up there on the thing.
Yeah.
I actually there's a couple of times in this movie where because I was watching it on my projector, I paused it and like took a photo of myself with the movie as like the background or whatever. I like got a little video of myself as she like opened her chest, like with her face on my face. And, like I thought that was kind of cool.
I love that. That's cool. The kind of like as well, at least the last thing on my notes. I don't know if anyone else has anything to say, but the sort of truth as to what really did happen to Anka, and this is what really kind of brings home the sort of performance that Tilda Swinton gives as Dr. Klemper when Susie, Mother Suspiriorum, says, I'm going to provide you with the actual truth because I think we owe you that much.
Yeah, you deserve
And
your
like
closure.
Anka died at the Anka did not make it to Bristol. She did not escape. She was captured at the border by the SS, and she was brought to now I could be butchering this, Theresienstadt, which is essentially, like, to really kind of end it on a really shit note, is the place infamously known for it's the way station for Jews who are brought to
Froze
death
all those
camps.
people.
Yeah, it
It's
was
all the
a
more tragic
ghetto.
because it really happened.
Yeah.
That all these people really died like that.
Yeah, she froze to death with, well, at least a companion by her side, someone she had made friends with on the way to that city.
And her final thoughts were only of you.
Of her,
Oh my god,
yeah.
don't make me feel bad for straight
It's
people.
like, so like, basically, to put it into perspective, like that ghetto, as I said, was used as a way station for people to be brought to essentially the death camps. 144,000 Jews passed through that place, and 33,000 of them died there. It was basically, it was also famously, what's his name? The guy, the architect of the Final Solution. Basically,
Mengele or like Goebbels or something.
It was basically a really fucked up guy. I can't remember the name of him, and I wouldn't even like to talk about him, to be fair.
I mean, but here I go.
But to put it into perspective, like,
I'll give it my best shot.
Because this is like the part of the thing. It's how it works, and like, so like he famously convinced the older generation of the Jewish population passing through there. He convinced them to tell others to get on the trains peacefully to go to their deaths, like this, without a fuss. Like, to go on these trains and go die.
You know, this movie makes World War II not sound as fun as it sounds.
As I thought it was, right?
Yeah, this World War II thing sounds like a really bad time.
A real bad time. So, like, it's like, but it's the visceral reaction that Tilda Swinton gives that's just so upsetting. It really is. It's so cruel and so... Which makes, like, the Conjuring of Anka all the worse. Because, like, he had those perfect moments.
Oh, that's weird. And they do it to lure him
and then
there.
she just
disappears.
She's, like, literally, like, out of his hands. And all of a sudden, the witches
it's the
have
moment
him.
Of the, like... Oh, no. It's not even that the witches have him. It's the fact... And
he looks up at the dance group
I love
at school.
the fact that they're, like, they do kind of play... I think these two particular teachers as particularly... witches,
yeah,
because she comes out and it's literally like, and
that's the only part that really frightened me, is how quickly they suddenly appear in the screen and are screaming at him.
Because they're laughing, they're cackling, and they're just like pulling him into this, and he's kind of begging the whole time, and that's where we get the speech of like, you should have believed your wife would be still alive if you like fucking listened to her.
And stuff. Like they suddenly have the hook and Patricia's bag.
Look how dirty they made it.
But they were like, you thought you could get away with this and that we wouldn't notice. Yeah.
Again, just sticking your fucking nose in it. Because that's the thing. If Patricia had come to him and he hadn't pressed it, he would be fine.
He would have been fine, yeah.
You know? But they kill his ass. But again, it doesn't seem like, because it's Susie doing it, it doesn't seem like it's not a fuck you at all. It's like okay, look, I don't know how you're ever going to, like, keep living peacefully and happily with all the information that you have. Now also knowing what happened to your wife.
And I'm going to take it away from you.
Yeah, and then he just, like, convulses or whatever.
He has a
seizure.
He has a seizure. And the final shot is, like, modern day. His dacha in modern day in East Berlin. With some random family. I always thought it was like maybe it's his descendants or cousins or something like that.
Well, we do get one of the guys outside calls him uncle, so I don't know whether there was a thing there or not. They were talking about like theater and stuff at one point.
Yeah, it was just it was very, very sad to sort of see that reaction, and it was upsetting.
It is very sad. This
very
movie
upsetting.
made me cry a couple of times.
Yeah.
I think in particular it's the dynamic of motherhood and the interaction between Susie and her mother always makes me kind of sad. Because like I also said to you when you came up here this morning, I think like this time kind of I knew, but like first watching it and maybe the second or third time I watched it, I don't think I kind of copped or put together that the mother storyline of in America is happening concurrently with the main storyline. I always kind of got the sense that Susie left because the mother died, but no, it's the like you have to kill her in order to have like you need to like break all ties to your old family and stuff. But it's the like just I don't know, something about like sick mothers or like mothers dying or like a mother like child dynamic always kind of gets me in a movie.
But also
really
it talks
sad.
about like how succession and obsolescence happens because with motherhood, like as you give birth to your children, you inevitably see your own decline. You see your own sort of mortality start to ebb away at you.
Not my digrosa.
Yeah. But But you see, in your children, you see your own mortality. You see, like, your time is now ticking, and theirs is only just starting.
And there's like a forced growing up to do when a parent dies, where it's like, well, I'm the current generation now because that's gone.
Yeah, because it talks about, like, it's very, like, a strong underlining theme, because I believe the first shot of the film is actually this plaque on the wall that says, a mother is a role who...
a mother is one who can take the place of Annie, but no one can take the place of.
Yes. And I think that's, like, sort of one of the kind of really big central themes is succession versus obsolescence, where you take as much as you can, and then you move on, so the previous becomes obsolete.
Sounds evil, but also it is what you have to do.
Yeah,
you know, it's like you depend on your parents for sustenance. Or well, I kind of suppose, like, specifically your mother. It's like your mother is like the
mother
station
is God in the eyes of child.
Well, it is though. It's like you know, it's like your mother is like the one that like kind of brings you out. Mm-hmm. You know, but again, that's why I think we get like the chest is not just a chest wound; it is a vagina, because it is like a scene of rebirth and like birthing and kind of like a new era, kind of. But these scenes in America, they're so sad. They're so sad. But the line that I think is most interesting is like, Susanna, she's my sin. She's the big. She's my last one. She's my last daughter, and she's my sin. She's the stain I left on the world. You know, so that's happening. Like,
coherently,
exactly, and it's happening at the same time as the finale of the movie is happening, and it's like, what does she know? Or what is she feeling? Or like, was there a sending of dreams or a sending of messages to the mother? You know, or was the mother involved in some kind of a witchcraft, or did she know she was going to give birth to the vessel that would then become Mother Suspiriorum? Because again, they say that the three mothers are pre-Christian, pre-devil.
Yeah, they wandered the earth. Yeah,
exactly. They're kind of just a spiritual archetype, I guess,
of feminine energy.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, again, it's three mothers. You know, it's not just three witches
People.
or whatever. For real.
I also think that that is really interesting, because I love the scene. It only starts to go red as the mother dies.
Yeah.
So like when and also the fact that Death's hand like reaches across her face. I love the idea of thinking like she's actually seeing that standing there looming over her. And like, you know,
exactly.
Did her head explode?
But exactly, it does.
So they said like death to all other mothers, or death to all fake mothers, and it was like, well, she's a fake mother.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I have to give that up now.
Yeah.
So who is your actual mother then?
Well, see, yeah, like thinking it's like
born of an apple.
But like she, but see, like she is the mother. Susie has become, or at least always was, mother.
Yeah,
you know.
So, I think that one was just like the one who physically gave birth to her.
Yeah,
other than that, there's no
the mother,
tie.
From the start of the movie, from the first shot that we see her, is dying.
Yeah.
So Tim and Susie kind of arrives, kind of in weird kind of circumstances. She's got like a tiny little bit of money. I kind of get the sense that she might have stolen it to get there.
Yes.
And it's...
Also, she just chose that book on that platform. Did you see that? That was not a gust of wind. She just fucking dropped that book. Fuck that bitch.
I totally get the sense that like the entire time the mother is just kind of being like slowly siphoned, and it kind of being a very slow but gradual kind of handing over of power, or a taking of power. Because Susie can only become who she is at the end.
Death to all other mothers.
Exactly. The absolute requirement for it is that she is died. It's like she dies.
Yeah.
So that you can become this.
What do you take away from it, Ryan?
In German.
Berliner.
Of the whole movie altogether, or just her transformation?
If you had to take away a theme or an understanding of a message of the film, what would you take away from it?
I honestly do think it's about transformation and succession. I think it's about people. It's about like
Völke.
Change, and like nothing is ever certain. Everything is there's always a constant flow of something. Time isn't cyclical. Or time is not linear, it's cyclical. Everything moves. It's like it's just people moving through time, physically and mentally, and a very strong female power. Like the theme of just like women, of them not being literally just a womb, but also them being a womb, like
Yeah, exactly.
giving birth to ideas and to people.
Doesn't
To art and stuff.
Doesn't Sarah say that? She says, like, when the Reich wanted us to shut off our minds and just keep our uteruses open.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
for sure.
yeah.
Because again, also,
like
this isn't a movie, it's not like a girl power movie.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't show women as exclusively good or as exclusively bad. You know, it's not a you go girl movie at all. It just so happens that everybody is a woman.
Yeah.
And we're getting
It's
an
trying
exclusively
to
female kind
see
of point of
a
view.
woman as more than a woman, but as idea, as also a person.
An autonomy.
Exactly. Yeah, and even as a concept,
It's
like you're kind of saying, the
I am
idea
not
of a
a
mother.
uterus, I am a brain,
Yeah.
you know? And I have ideas.
And then kind of the idea of it being so astringent, the fact that it's like, well, everybody in this movie is obsessed with being mother.
Yeah.
You know? There's another kind of Freud thing, mommy, mother,
The mommy
you know?
complex.
It's like mother not so much being your physical mother, but mother being a concept. It's like something you seek out in somebody.
Yeah.
Kind of, i.e. seeing Marcos or Blanc, you know, and then them looking to her as mother at the end. It all switches up. It's so well written. Like Luca Guadagnino, just like fucking hats off, bro.
Yeah.
Like seriously, especially like this already being a well loved and kind of well known. Well, I don't know how like I don't think Suspiria is like A-list or B-list. I think like if you know horror, you know Suspiria, or if you know kind of like art, you know Suspiria.
Which I think also makes this film
art.
all the more tragic. You know, it's like
You've met art, haven't you?
You've met art. Did somebody mention art? Da 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 ka. Ka. Yeah. I think that's what makes this film all the more tragic, for the fact that it's not well recognized or anything like that, because it is a fantastic film.
I think it'll get there.
Eventually.
I think it is cult classic kind of at this point, because I don't know anybody that's seen this that doesn't love it. I just don't think. But also, I don't know how well received it would have been if it was like widely released, if everybody got it, because it's kind of vague and it's depressing and there's no hero. Nobody wins at the end.
Yeah.
Like it ends tragically and continues to end tragically, because the Berlin Wall doesn't even fall until canonically after this movie has happened.
Yes.
So they leave in the middle of political strife.
What year did it fall down in? What year?
81.
81.
I was going to say, it was
This is
definitely the 80s,
77.
because fucking David Hasselhoff was there.
Yeah.
No, sorry,
What's big in
81,
Berlin?
It was 89, sorry. 89.
Oh wow! So like
you're
a
still,
good
you're
near
still
10
quite
years.
a while off the wall falling.
Yeah, so nearly 10 years later.
And the last scene is like the very, very, it's like the post-credit scene or whatever. It's Susie with the hand on the wall, which is just, it's so fucking cool though. It's so fucking cool, because you could also use witchcraft kind of as an allegory, as just the power of women, or the importance of women, that it's like you know, women are fucking monumental. They're literally half the people in this world. You know, it's like they're required for people.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I just love this movie.
The
I really
intelligent
do.
design behind it, the messages, the free thinking of it all, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah.
Out of
I
5
loved it.
stars?
I think you can sit down for like a gajillion years and just like think about the layers that this movie has.
Yeah.
More than the layers of that cake that she refuses in that cake shop.
That is how you know she's rich.
Ah.
That's how you know she has money.
This
If she
bougie
gets it
ass
and
white
walks away.
woman.
Anyway, that's why you got a fucking fracture, like a compound fracture.
Bitch.
Anyway, there's people out here that are starving. You know, not only a couple of years ago was fucking Stalin out here having Russians eating Russians, and you're out here throwing cake. Let them eat cake, she said. Cut her fucking hat off. I think we just kill her. I think we should write her out of this fucking movie entirely.
You know,
anyway,
but
that's
also
why you got fucked up at the end, and that's why nobody fucking likes you, and that's why your guts are on the floor.
Klemperer, whatever he was eating looked like this kind of cheesy pasta bake thing that was in like a dish of bread. It looked so fucking good. And like the tiny little fork that he was using, loved it.
I can
the
hear him
tiny
eat
little
them.
forks, like tiny little forks, love it. There are literally forks for cake in Germany. Everywhere you go, there's a fork for cake, and it is like this big.
Oh, I love
It's
it.
like a little trident. It's got like the little three tines on it.
Yeah.
It's got the
And it has-
triangle
it three.
has-
Yeah.
It's really funny, actually, on the trident, the third like little trident thing, the little hook, has like a little knife on it. So
I
that you
have
can
one of those
put the cake.
downstairs.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was gonna make it into a ring.
Love it.
But
My
goddamn,
bean
she
is
had
just
like
woken
a
up. Hello,
burnt
bean.
cake kind of brack, but also strudel
I
kind
love
of.
it.
Oh, it was so good.
I know that. Well, thinking of strudel, because like that happened in Quentin Tarantino's *Inglourious Bastards*.
Literally thinking about that as
Yeah,
well.
with the
Yeah.
cream being dolloped on top. Oh yeah,
It looks
but
so
also the fact that you found out when Luca Guadagnino screened it for the first time, Tarantino went to see it and he cried. He cried during the film.
Yeah, well, it is. It's hyper emotional, but also it's weird. It's emotional just because it shows kind of life for how it genuinely is. A lot of times,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like it's going to be kind of a strong word here, but I feel like a movie like Hereditary or Midsommar and stuff like that, it's kind of like emotional rape in a way, where the entire point is to depress you and make you feel shitty.
Yeah.
Whereas this movie doesn't really do that. It makes me feel shitty, but it's because I'm moved.
Yeah.
Because of the soundtrack or the visuals or the situation. It's not like a look at this dead girl's head.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just it's a very, very emotional movie. Anytime I watch it, I end up thinking about it for like fucking weeks afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I watched this just after Halloween. I was the only one awake the next morning. And was super hungover. So I was like, okay, I guess this is an appropriate time to watch Suspiria because nobody else is awake. Because this would be such a hard movie to be like, hey guys, let's watch Suspiria. Versus the original.
Yeah.
You know, like the original one is just wacky and fun and dumb and camp as you like. But this one I feel like you'd have to kind of convince people to watch a little bit
Yeah,
more.
it's a big, like, you have to go in and it's you love it or you hate it.
Exactly, and it's long.
Mm.
And it feels
Yeah.
long, which I don't mind. But like, I remember when we saw this on preview night for Halloween, I was kind of towards the last 25 minutes or so, I was kind of shifting around in my seat, like, okay, I just want to like walk around and go for a cigarette now. Also, because everybody in this movie, Ryan, I don't know if you get this, when you see people smoke in media, you're like, I should have a cigarette.
Yeah, there's a lot of times, like, even during, like, stretches and shit, like,
They're
when
smoking
Susie, I
indoors.
think, she's literally, like, has the
Yeah,
fag
with-
dropping in her mouth.
With the 70s.
And then, like,
it's exactly
in the
everybody is
studio.
smoking indoors. There's
They were
ashtrays
like,
on every
have
table.
a cigarette, it clears the lungs.
Yeah, it's good for you. Rip the filter off if you're sick or whatever, or pregnant, I guess.
Oh, God. So, next week, we have...
That's a bit abrupt.
Well,
Ryan,
I mean-
final thoughts.
Final thoughts, go for it.
Final thoughts.
Pregnant pause.
Yeah, just that there's a lot of unpacking. Fucking fashion for years. Fashion. And
Yeah,
it stands
thank you.
completely on its own. Like, you really don't have to do anything with the last movie to watch this one. You don't have to know that
Yeah,
there
for
was
real.
another Suspiria. This one stands so much on its own. It was so well written, well shot, everything. If you want to go watch the old one, watch the old one. Just know that they're two completely different movies.
Yeah.
I almost recommend watching them in
That
flip
they
order.
both are amazing.
Yeah.
Cheer yourself up with the original after you watch this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, for sure. Because like the ending of the original is a lot happier.
It's
you know,
so
she gets out
bad.
of it.
It's also
so
so
abrupt.
big. Yeah, literally, it's like the school goes on fire and Susie
She's like,
leaves. Yeah, literally, she's like,
I'm
"Fuck,
free."
gorgeous. All my stuff was in there, and we're literally out in this side, like out in the Berlin
The
countryside.
rain. In,
Yeah.
in a forest.
And nobody's here because I've killed everyone in
Everyone.
the building. What happens to all the rest of the girls in that building?
Right?
That building is full of girls, and it's just set on fire at the end. And Susie's like, gorgeous.
Delighted. Done with that.
Fabulous,
Next
yeah.
chapter of my life.
Exactly. Seriously.
About to die in World War II Nazi Germany. Oh, Jesus Christ.
She goes on to play Janet in Shock Treatment.
Oh, yeah.
Or in,
No way.
Yeah.
That's weird. They totally should have got, like, Brad and Janet back. They should have got Barry Bostwick and fucking Susan Sarandon back. Because they're the only ones that don't return as their characters. It's crazy.
Well, may I?
We're gonna hang up now. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, so next week we have the famous return of
The Slab. Speaking of Rocky Horror.
We after nearly 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months of no slab topic. We're jumping right back into it. It's going to be a fucking good time. Wait and see.
Uh-huh.
We are reversing onto this horse dildo.
You know, I'm gonna let you
Good and
keep
dry.
thinking about the end of that sentence before you actually get it out.
So I want to just say thank you, Ryan, for jumping on. You know, I thought I would do it
My
now.
absolute pleasure. I loved it.
I thought I would do it now
It was
because
I loved every minute of it.
you
Are you about to have a Janet Jackson, I'm so proud of you, Michael moment?
No, I'm actually about to just make fun of how old he is. You are I'm so glad that you're on it today because you've been around here for a lot of time and you don't have that much time left. So I'm just going to make sure that you get it on now before you pass away.
See, the thing is, Ryan,
I'm
you were
gonna-
born
I'm-
first, but
I'm-
Nathan is old. Like, Nathan is the older one. Do you know what I mean?
Right?
Like, you
For
didn't-
context,
trying
we're
to
talking to my
defeat
twin
me.
here. I don't think that was established at the beginning.
Madame belonged to my
I
mother.
don't know if we
Marcus, you know?
introduced Ryan as your brother or anything like that. We
Right,
kind of
I don't think we introduced you properly. I never said anything about you. I just said, and here's Ryan.
Yeah.
I think you did.
I don't think I even said you were my twin. I just said, and here's Ryan. The terrible threesome is back. I don't fucking know.
You see, there it is. Yeah, that is magic, though. Like, you can be born
We
first,
have a
but still
guest
somehow be
all
younger
the way
than her.
from Berlin, Germany.
From Berlin, Germany, this is Ryan signing off.
Ryan.
Meine Liebe, meine Damen und Herren, Mesdames und Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh god. And all those Facebook 54 gender options in between.
Internationale Sensation.
Okay, I want to thank you for coming on, Ryan, and I hope you had a good time.
I had an amazing time. Thank you so much for having me.
And we want you back. We want you back because it's a good time when you're chatting to the terrible twosome and we can make it a threesome.
Yeah, it's nice to have the balance be balanced out. You know, I'm not
Yes.
fighting for gay rights over here. Do you know what I mean? Oh my god! The other day in the toilet, Ash took a picture. Somebody in Comfy Library or whatever like that. Somebody wrote on the wall, "gay rights," and then somebody underneath it just said no. and then the next morning, just coincidentally, I found at the cardboard off a thing of filters that said "gay?" ? And then underneath just said no. From like years ago. I think that actually might have been from one of our like video calls.
Oh, that would have been so good. So, thank you so much for coming on, Ryan. Thank you.
Es freut mich sehr gerne.
Danke.
Are you gonna get your pussy eaten out on a plate and be hollowed out?
Sounds
Your
kinda
cunt.
odd.
Ja,
Sorry.
aber natürlich.
Aber natürlich.
Nothing gets my dick harder than the idea of just being carved like a pumpkin.
We get Michael for that.
Flip me,
No, dude,
turn
you
me
just cut
out,
my ass
inside
off.
out, upside down, break my jaw, snap my back in half.
I want you to grab me firmly by both my ankles and swing me into a wall. What I want you to do is pull my hair.
Stick hooks
but-
in me and
yeah.
carry me off screen. Oh,
What I want you to do is pull my hair, but then just pull it all out. You know? Choke me, but make sure the larynx is decimated. You know?
like really, really, really really, really just like break both my legs and my arms. Like,
Yeah, I want to be Mr. Bump
give it to
after the
me.
fact. You know, I want to be full body cast.
You want to be Olga post breaking up.
Yeah, but with like cum all over it.
Instead of piss on the floor, there's piss on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. It's that exact same setup, but there's like plastic sheeting on the floor. And that clear viscous liquid isn't spittle. You know?
Oh my god.
No, that's why Olga starts pissing herself and it's like a Fleet Enema like
Oh
commercial
my
or whatever.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Champagne.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, Jesus.
That's a great dragon name, Champagne Enema.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. Champagne Emma.
Heineken
Champagne
douche.
Emma. Champagne Emma.
All right. Again, Ryan, I just want to thank you so much for joining us and taking the time out from your really busy Berlin life to talk to a couple of douchebags that are interested in horror.
Well, poppers and G.
You know, just daily Berlin life.
Yeah, Olga would have been fine if she had to just, you know.
Both sides.
Yeah. Hi, I'll have a poppers on the rocks, please.
All right, guys. So, yeah, that's
Don't say
it.
thank you again, because I have to pee so bad.
And we are just not a word of a lie. Suspiria, the 2018 is 2 hours and 10 minutes long, and look what we're just coming up to
Go.
right
just-
now. 2 hours and 10 minutes. Boom.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Das whoa.
All right, so next week we have a new Slab episode coming back. Topics are aplenty, so you wait till you get to choose this week. So we're doing it. We're doing the thing.
Uh-huh.
And you've been listening to
They're
here.
here. But I'm not.
Wie bin ich da? That's not German, but you get it. So thank you for listening. Is he gonna say unpleasant dreams, or do I have to?
I'm going for piss, bro.
He's going for a piss. Okay, bye-bye.